The Adams Archive.
Ford Motor Company has now put a patent in to be able to surveil you, shut down your vehicle, turn off your air conditioning, everything in between. If you get behind on a car payment, Big Brother is watching you, and now he can take your car too. Ford Motor Company has applied for a patent on a new technology, it says, that would allow them to remotely repossess your car if you failed to make a payment. Just a payment. The proposed system would give owners a warning about a missed payment before disabling certain features such as GPS, air conditioning, and the radio. But if you continue to neglect your payments, the car can then lock you out of it and drive itself autonomously to an impound lot. What? That is the craziest. Do you remember the movie? It was a Disney movie called, what was it? Like Smart Home or, what was it? Pretty sure it was something like Smart Home. It was like this exact scenario. It didn't have to do with payments, but it was like basically this AI, hologram of a woman was the manifestation of the house's technology. And the house saw these people doing things that it didn't like. So it went into lockdown mode and they couldn't even leave their own house, right? So we'll go into that analogy a little bit further in a minute because I think that's an interesting one. But Ford's patent application states that the lockdown feature could be lifted momentarily in case of an emergency to allow the vehicle to travel to a medical facility. But it also proposes a possible caveat where delinquent owners working toward clearing their balance would have their car locked only on weekends to allow them to go to work and earning income to make payments toward their vehicles. Could you imagine your corporate daddy is now going to take your keys on the weekend and not allow you to drive your car, which you purchased it and own, at least own the loan on, if you miss a payment. This life is getting crazy. This type of surveillance-based lending, it says, is an infringement on personal privacy and raises serious concerns about the growing trends toward connected vehicles and electric cars. As cars become increasingly digital and reliant on technology, there is a greater risk that our personal information and rights will be compromised. According to Ford, the system is designed to solve the issue of uncooperative owners who attempt to impede the repossession operation and can lead to confrontations. But this type of technology could also be used to target vulnerable individuals who may be struggling to make payments and face losing their cars, which is often a critical lifeline for Americans. The patent application, filed in August of 2021, was formally published last week for public review. A company spokesperson said the patent was submitted as a normal course of business, they said. But they aren't necessarily an indication of new business or product plans. Yeah, okay. We believe you, Ford. Regardless of Ford's intentions, this type of technology is a clear example of how a movement towards connected vehicles and electric cars is going to inherently mean more technology that only infringes further on personal rights. We must remain vigilant and advocate for stronger privacy protections to ensure that our personal information and freedom are not compromised by these new technologies. Okay, so think of it like this. Compare it to your house, like we talked earlier, right? Imagine coming home after a long day and find that your fridge, TV, and air conditioning have all been disabled because you're behind on a house payment, right? Imagine sweating, being in 90-degree heat in Arizona, 110 degrees outside, and they're just making you lose weight every minute because you can't make your payment. Like, is it not enough that you're behind a payment anymore? Is it not enough that you have the shame of creditors calling you or getting the potential of your car getting repossessed or feeling like that is so wild to me that they want to shame you to the point where they will lock your windows, not allow you to listen to the radio, and disable your car on weekends because you can't make a payment. Shame on you. So, if we apply the same logic to homes, we can see that a future where our appliances, electronics, and even doors could be locked, right? Let's say you have a patio. They no longer want your patio door to work. So you got to walk out the front door and walk all the way around to your back patio, right? You can no longer use the second bathroom. You all got to use the first bathroom. Oh, and by the way, we're going to lock the other 3 rooms in your house and just allow you access to one room. You can all sleep on the floor there. We're not letting you in. Right? All the amenities that come with that home that you purchased. Right? Now, think of who this is targeting, right? This is targeting low income. This is targeting areas of people who are, going to get into these types of loans unknowingly or without the ability to make these payments. This is going to target a majority of minority communities, which are historically in these communities where they're having more difficulties financially, right? Statistically and factually, that's true. And so this is going to be targeting them specifically to do things like this, right? Now, it's not just being limited to cars in the future, right? You can limit this to everything. You can limit this to your cell phone, right? Imagine having everything on your phone disabled, all of the apps, all of your social media, all of the stuff besides phone calls to Verizon, to your, mom and your dad, and to 911 because you're behind on a payment. I guess Verizon kind of already does that, right? If you miss a payment for long enough, they only allow you to make a phone call, but you can still connect to Wi-Fi, right? So you still have access to all of those things, right? They're just not going to pay for you to go do it. It's like if they, I don't know, some analogy with gas or like charging. I don't know. But yeah, just think of all the applications to this, right? There's so many ways that this smart technologies, this surveillance big brother technology can be utilized in the future. And that is a future that I don't want to be a part of. I want to get in a car and press down the gas, and I want gas to be siphoned, and I want it to do whatever freaking magic that happens in an engine. There's probably some mechanics listening to this that just want to shake me for not knowing exactly how that works. I want a combustion engine, bitch. And I want to be able to put gas in it from the earth that was mined in Saudi Arabia or from some foreign land or from Canada or Alaska. I want to put liquid into it. And I want to drive by a government building with my middle finger up. That's what I want to do, because there's nothing you can do to stop me from moving, to stop me from driving my vehicle, from freedom of transportation. And that's what you're going to find. And we did our last episode on smart cities, right? 15-minute cities is what they're called. And this is another piece of that, right? They don't want you to have vehicles. They want you to own nothing and be happy about it, right? They don't want you to have the freedom of transportation. They don't even want you to be able to drive 15 minutes away. Well, 16, right? They don't want you to have that freedom. They don't want you to have any freedom, not unless daddy government or daddy corporation, which is truly what daddy government is, has a say-so in it, right? And what we're finding now is like all the people that, I am absolutely for capitalism. What we are now is not capitalism. What we are now is corporatism, right? Our government, our institutions, our colleges, our voting processes, our candidates, our education systems, our media corporations, our news, the shows that your children watch are all owned by corporations who have corporate interests, right? And I've talked about this before. When it comes to corporations, a corporation is a living, breathing entity, right? At least once it gets shareholders. When it's a business, once it's a small business and it goes to a position where it's publicly traded, where there's board members and a CEO who only acts out the needs of the board members, and when they don't, they get removed and kicked out, and a new CEO comes in. When you get to a point where a business goes away from having a leader who is truly at the helm, where it is ran by board members, it loses its humanity. It no longer has a moral compass. The only compass it has is off of profitability, right? So when you have a corporation that has to determine whether or not it should, I don't know, release some type of virus so that it can make billions in profits, that doesn't seem like a bad business model to the board members who are just trying to make a profit, whose CEO has to enact those decisions or fear being removed from their multi-million-dollar position. right? That entity only thrives off of profitability. It doesn't thrive off of helping humanity. It doesn't thrive off of giving to the needy. It doesn't thrive off of educating the public. It doesn't thrive off of any of these things. It thrives off of profitability, right? And profitability is generally off of the detriment in many cases when it comes from a corporation to society, right? When we look at things like the tactics that were used by cigarette companies back in the 80s and 70s and even early 90s, right? Like when we look at the ways that they lobbied physicians to use their name and say that this is the doctor recommended cigarette. Try Marlboro Reds. Recommended by 2 out of 3 doctors. Little did you know they surveyed 3 doctors, 2 of which they paid $5 million for that advertisement, right? When you have all these black hat little marketing tactics that drive profitability ran by the CEO who trickles down to everybody in between, that's all based off profitability, that loses its moral compass, right? There's no longer somebody there to go, I don't like where this is going. And if they feel that way, they can't say it, because the second they say it in an organization where it's ran by board members and not a leader with a moral compass, it loses all of that humanity to it. It has to continue to thrive off of more profitability. Now, the other thing is growth, right? A company has to continually grow no matter what. When you have a company like Pfizer who made billions of dollars off of their vaccine, you think next year they're going to have a 30% drop in revenue and their board members and shareholders are going to be okay with that? No, the bar has been set. And now it has to be exceeded every single year, or it's a loss, or else their stock price goes down. And they can't have that. So what do they do again? Record year, record numbers, record profits for everybody involved in the company. Except the employees, the people who did the work, and also humanity, who so happens to die when we profit so much money. But, let's forget that, not to mention the Project Veritas video where they actually said that they were actively working on messing with coronaviruses intentionally to potentially put out vaccines preemptively. It doesn't stop at Ford Motor Company, folks. Does not stop there.